Okay, greetings to everyone who is watching this video. I am Group Captain Anil Vaz. I've been the senior psychologist in two selection boards. So I thought that we would share some thoughts on the most common mistakes that are committed in the psychological tests. As you are aware that the psychological test is the first test conducted after you get screened in. So it is very important that you put in all your best into the first test and that you start your 5-day journey at the SSB on the correct footing. So there are a lot of common mistakes which over the years, I have observed which candidates commit in the psychological tests. So I thought I will share a few of them with you so that everybody can gain from this. And the main focus would be on the TAT and the WAT. I will not be touching upon the SRT during this this episode which we are conducting right now. So to begin with, starting with the common mistakes that are committed during the psych test, especially during the TAT, the first and foremost one being most of the candidates get mixed up between the PPDT and the TAT. Though the PPDT, that is the picture perception and discussion test, is the test which is conducted for the screening in. And the TAT is a part of the psychological test. The most common mistake is that the candidates commit is that they are not very clear on the difference between the picture perception and discussion test and the TAT test. So even though the briefing sounds similar to what is being told in the PPDT test to the TAT test, but the two things are different in the sense that the PPDT is a test of your perception, whereas the TAT test is a test of your imagination. So there is a big difference between the two. Also, once you get screened in, it is my advice that you should forget the briefing or whatever has been briefed to you with regard to the PPDT and take the TAT briefing as a fresh. So the main difference being that is a test of perception and this is a test of imagination. So once you leave that aside, you do not carry the baggage of that particular briefing into the TAT. There are some candidates who do carry it, and this is quite evident from the fact that whenever they write their TAT stories, they will either put a title to it, they will put a heading, or they will write some action before writing the story. So this shows that they have not forgotten the briefing which was given to them previously, and they incorporate those things in the TAT also, which is actually not accepted. The next thing is with regard to looking at the picture. I'll start with the very basics that a lot of candidates do not spend 30 seconds while looking at the picture. The picture is shown to you for 30 seconds. So my advice would be to observe the picture correctly and fully for 30 seconds. There are a lot of candidates who, especially among the repeaters, who look at the picture just for a mere 10 or 15 seconds and then start to attempt to write their stories, thereby missing out certain vital aspects which have been displayed in the picture. So another thing is that the picture after 30 seconds is not disappears. So when you are developing a story and when you're writing a story, you're relying on the image which has been captured in your memory. So, what would be a better capture of the image in your memory? A 10-second capture or a 30-second capture? Obviously, when you're developing a story and writing it, your mind is always referring to the picture that has been captured in your memory. So a 10-second capture will not have those many details of the picture as would a 30-second capture of the picture in your memory would have. So my sincere advice to all candidates would be, please observe the picture fully for 30 seconds, from right to left and to top to bottom, and then grasp the whole thing and then start developing your story and writing upon it. Next thing is, which I found another common mistake, is that people do not follow the structure of a story. In the briefing, the structure of the story has been clearly defined, wherein in the briefing it is clearly mentioned that what has led to the situation, the story has to be written on what has led to the situation, what is going on at present, and what is the outcome. So there are three distinct parts to the story. That is what led to the situation, what is going on at present, and what is the outcome. I have observed that a large number of candidates, start the story with the picture. Either they will start the story with the picture, or they'll invariably end the story with the picture that has been shown to them. So what led to the situation often gets missed out. So please remember that the structure of the story has to be clearly defined. At the same time, the entire story should be written in one paragraph. A common mistake which I have also seen is that many candidates start writing the story in 3 different paragraphs, thinking that there are 3 parts. Yes, there are 3 parts to the story, but they all have to be written in one paragraph. Also, I have also observed a normal common mistake is that the ending of the stories becomes very abrupt, in the sense that the ending or the outcome, I will say, is not well planned or it is not well thought of. So these are some of the common mistakes which I have observed in the TAT stories. And also the last one would be in this part, as far as structure goes, is that there is a lack of variation in the stories, in the sense that since it is a test of imagination, I have noticed that a lot of candidates have come up with repetitive ideas in their stories which they write. And either it is repetitive ideas or there are similar themes based on which the stories are written. So thereby, there is a lack of variation in their 12 stories that they tend to write. Another common mistake which I have noticed is that there are many candidates write stories without there being a hero in the story. So a lack of there being a hero in the story is also seen quite often. And another common mistake is that choosing a hero from the opposite gender. This happens mostly among the girls candidates, the women candidates, wherein they choose heroes from the opposite gender. Does happen with the male candidates also. But the common mistake is that they tend to choose the hero from the opposite gender. Next is using the same name. There are candidates who use limited names for the heroes in their 12 stories, or there are some candidates who use the same name throughout the 12 stories of the hero. Or another mistake that the candidates make is using their own name in the stories. And this own name especially happens in the 12th story. So my advice would be to avoid these kind of mistakes while attempting your TAT. Now coming to the WAT. There are a couple of common mistakes which I have observed in the WAT. First of all, you must understand that this also is a test of your imagination. So variation in the types of sentences you write is very important. So there's many a times there is a lack of variation, and there is a particular, all the candidates write sentences. There's a trend. They write all the sentences, one type of sentences most of the time. Another big mistake, or I would say a lack, would be writing speed. So a large number of candidates are not able to complete the WAT test. As it is, the WAT test is a little tight, in which you have to write the sentence within 15 seconds. So writing speed is of utmost importance over here. A large number of candidates either are not able to complete the test with a large number of blanks or incomplete sentences. And the last thing I would say in WAT is, please do not try to preach. A lot of candidates try to preach or try to give some advice during their while writing their WAT responses. So these are a few common mistakes which I have observed over the years that candidates commit in the psych test with regard to TAT and WAT. I hope what I have shared will be of utmost use to you. I hope the candidates who are appearing for the SSB would benefit from this and would be able to give a more meaningful psychological tests in the future. Thank you very much.